"Mr. Daniels, are you crying?" The voice came from the doorway, soft, shaky, full of worry. Mr. Elijah Daniels wiped his eyes quickly, forcing a smile that didn't reach his heart. The school hallway behind him buzzed faintly with the last bell of the day. Lockers slammed, kids laughed, papers rustled, but inside classroom 1, to be the room he had dedicated 12 years of his life to, time felt frozen. "I'm fine, Maya," he whispered, though his voice trembled like a man trying not to break. The 14-year-old girl stepped closer, her backpack hanging off one shoulder. She wasn't convinced. "They called you to the office again, didn't they?" He didn't answer. He didn't need to. His silence was enough. The afternoon sunlight poured through the dusty classroom windows, casting long golden stripes across desks filled with handwritten notes, motivational cards, and drawings his students made for him over the years. At the center of the board, written in bright blue marker, were the words he said every morning: "You matter. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." Maya looked at the board, then back at him. "They can't fire you. You're the only teacher who actually listens." Elijah exhaled, slow, heavy, the weight of every meeting with the principal pressing on his chest. "Sometimes," he said softly, "doing the right thing scares people who prefer the wrong things." Suddenly, footsteps echoed in the hallway, sharp, purposeful, the kind of footsteps that meant trouble. Principal Aldridge appeared at the door, tall, stiff, holding a crisp white envelope. "Mr. Daniels," he said, voice cold as marble, "I need a moment with you. Privately." Maya stood her ground. "I'm not leaving, Maya," Elijah said gently. "It's okay." But she didn't move. Not until Aldridge shot her a glare sharp enough to cut glass. She backed up, whispering, "Don't let them take you." As she stepped away, Aldridge handed Elijah the envelope. Inside was a single sheet of paper, the official termination notice. "Effective immediately," Aldridge announced. "Your employment has been terminated. Reason: inappropriate emotional engagement and overly personal connections with students." Elijah felt the world tilt. He gripped a desk to stay standing. Aldridge turned to leave, but paused. "And Mr. Daniels, pack your things. You have 10 minutes." The door slammed. Maya gasped from the hallway. Elijah's heart shattered. He was fired. For being too kind. Students began gathering outside the classroom like shadows drifting closer, whispering, confused. Words spread fast. Rumors flying. Emotions rising. Elijah slowly walked around the room, touching each desk, as if saying goodbye to pieces of his soul. A soft knock broke the silence. It was Jacob, the troubled boy who once refused to speak to anyone but Elijah. "Is it true?" His voice cracked. Elijah forced a calm smile. "It seems so, buddy." Jacob's hands trembled. "But you're the only teacher who didn't give up on me." Elijah placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "That's why you can't give up on yourself." More students entered. Lena, Carlos, Teo, Jasmine, each wearing heartbreak across their young faces. "You taught us kindness," Jasmine whispered. "You stayed after school every day to help us study," Carlos added. "You even bought us lunches when we couldn't afford any," Lena said, tears falling. Elijah swallowed hard. These kids, they were his purpose. "I did all of that because you deserve a chance," he said. "A chance life doesn't always give freely." Suddenly, a small voice spoke from the door. It was Maya again. But she wasn't alone. Behind her stood nearly 30 students, the entire class, faces red from crying or flushed with anger. "No," Maya said firmly. "We're not letting you walk out of here like some criminal." The students entered like a soft wave, surrounding their teacher in a circle of love, a shield he never expected to receive. "Why would they fire someone for being kind?" Jacob demanded. "Because they don't understand kindness," Maya replied, glaring at the hallway. Elijah looked at all of them, truly looked, and realized something. He had taught them more than math, reading, or science. He had taught them courage. He opened his mouth to speak, to tell them everything would be okay, when suddenly, the loudspeaker crackled. All students report to the gym immediately. The tone wasn't normal. It was urgent, forced. Maya's eyes widened. They're gonna make an announcement about you. Elijah felt a sting of dread. The school wasn't just firing him. They were about to rewrite the story. The gym buzzed with uneasy tension. Hundreds of students gathered on bleachers as administrators whispered among themselves. Elijah stood by the entrance, forbidden to join but unable to leave his kids alone. Principal Aldridge stepped onto the stage, clearing his throat dramatically. "Students," he began, "we regret to inform you that Mr. Elijah Daniels will no longer be teaching at this school." A wave of shocked murmurs rippled across the room. "He has violated professional boundaries," Aldridge continued, "and shown inappropriate emotional favoritism. Lies. Twisted lies." Elijah clenched his jaw, fists trembling. The students erupted. "That's not true. He's the best teacher here. You're lying." Aldridge banged a hand on the podium. "Enough. This decision is final." At that moment, Maya jumped up from the bleachers. "You fired him because he cares," she shouted. Gasps filled the gym. Security started moving toward her. "And you fired him," she continued before they could reach, "because you're afraid of a teacher who actually fights for us." The gym exploded with applause and cheers. Elijah felt tears sting his eyes. These kids, these young hearts, were rising in ways he never imagined. Aldridge glared at Maya. "Sit down." "No." The audience watched in breathless silence. Maya stepped into the aisle, voice trembling but strong. "You fired the wrong man." Then, something powerful happened. Jacob stood, then Lena, then Carlos, then Theo, then Jasmine, then the entire 8th grade. One by one, they rose, chanting, "Bring back Mr. Daniels. Bring back Mr. Daniels. Bring back Mr. Daniels." The gym shook with the force of their voices. Teachers gasped. Administrators scrambled. Aldridge slammed the microphone off. Security moved to silence the students, but they didn't stop. They got louder. Elijah stepped back, heart pounding. This was no longer a protest. It was the beginning of a movement. And then a voice echoed from behind him. "Mr. Daniels, you need to see this." It was Maya, holding her phone. Her hands shook. Her eyes were wide. "Elijah," she whispered, "your story. It's already online." Within minutes, the gym protest was live streaming everywhere. Students had uploaded videos of Aldridge's announcement, Elijah's kindness over the years, and Maya's brave confrontation. "Mr. Daniels, trending #1, Jacob shouted. The kids stared at their screens in disbelief. Hundreds of comments poured in. "Why fire a teacher for compassion? Bring him back. We need more educators like him." Elijah's hands shook as he scrolled through the avalanche of support. In 12 years of teaching, no one outside these walls had ever known his name. Now, the world was watching. He stepped outside the gym to catch his breath. The afternoon light spilled across the courtyard, warm, gentle, calming. But inside him, a storm swirled. Gratitude, fear, love, uncertainty. Maya followed quietly. "You okay?" she asked. He exhaled shakily. "I don't know." "You always told us," she said softly. "Kindness isn't a weakness." He nodded, eyes glistening. "You listened." "Of course I did." Before he could respond, a group of 7th graders rushed toward them. "Mr. Daniels, look." They held out a handwritten poster. "We stand with Mr. Daniels. Kindness is not a crime." His heart ached in the most beautiful way. Then, unexpectedly, a quiet stillness settled over the courtyard. A gentle breeze rustled the trees. It felt like the calm before something even bigger. Elijah looked at his students, every face filled with hope. He realized something profound. They weren't fighting to keep him employed. They were fighting to protect the kind of world he taught them to believe in. For the first time since the termination letter, Elijah felt peace. Not because the battle was over, but because he wasn't fighting alone. Suddenly, Maya's phone buzzed loudly. She glanced at it and froze. "Elijah?" she whispered. "A news crew is at the front gate." He blinked. "Hey, what?" "News vans," she said, voice trembling with excitement. "Reporters, cameras, it's everywhere." Elijah's stomach dropped. The story had spread beyond campus, beyond students, beyond the district. The world wasn't just watching. The world was showing up. He looked at his class. "Kids, this is bigger than us now." Maya nodded slowly. "That's the point." But just when hope began to rise, the twist arrived. Sharp, sudden, devastating. The school board released a public statement. "Elijah Daniels is under investigation for inappropriate conduct. We stand by our decision to terminate his employment." "Inappropriate conduct," Jasmine cried. "How dare they? They're trying to ruin him," Carlos said angrily. Elijah felt the words hit him like a punch. He had dedicated his life to protecting children, and now they painted him as a danger to them. His chest tightened. His breath went shallow. This wasn't just a firing anymore. It was character assassination. Reporters crowded the school gate, shouting questions he wasn't prepared to answer. "Mr. Daniels, did the administration mistreat you? Is it true you crossed boundaries with students? Are these allegations false?" Elijah's voice froze in his throat. He had never been good at defending himself. He defended others, not himself. Maya stepped in front of him like a shield. "He never did anything wrong. He saved us." But reporters kept pushing. As he backed away, he felt something collapse inside him, a crack deep in the place where teachers keep their strength. He turned, walked away from the cameras, and disappeared around the corner of the school building. He sat on the curb, head in his hands. "What if this ruins my life?" he whispered. "What if they destroy everything I've worked for?" For the first time, he let himself cry, openly, not quietly, not secretly, but fully, painfully, like a man watching his dreams burn. Then he felt a hand on his shoulder. He looked up. It was Maya. Her eyes were wet, but her voice was steady. "We're not letting them do this to you." "Sweetheart," he whispered, broken. "What can a group of kids do against a whole system?" Maya knelt beside him. "Not just kids," she said. "We're not kids anymore." Behind her, students from every grade walked toward him slowly, silently filling the courtyard like a wave of purpose. Elijah stood up, wiping his face. Something changed in his eyes. Something resilient, something fierce. But before anyone could speak, a police car pulled up to the school. Officers stepped out, and they were looking for him. The officers approached carefully. "Are you Elijah Daniels?" Elijah swallowed hard. "Yes, sir. We need to ask you a few questions." Students rushed forward, shouting, "He didn't do anything. You're arresting the wrong person. Leave him alone." The officers raised their hands. "Calm down. We're not arresting him." Elijah exhaled shakily. Then, "Why are you here?" "We received a report," one officer said, requesting a welfare check. "Someone claimed you were unstable after losing your job." Elijah froze. Aldridge. It had to be Aldridge. The principal wanted him removed, physically, emotionally, publicly. Maya stepped forward. "That's a lie. He's fine." The officer glanced around at the sea of students. "He seems to have a lot of support." Elijah straightened himself. Tears had dried on his cheeks. His voice steadied. "I'm fine, officers. But thank you." They nodded and left. The moment they drove away, something clicked inside Elijah. A line crossed. A limit reached. Enough was enough. He looked at his students, all waiting for him to say something, anything. And he finally understood. They didn't need him to teach them multiplication or grammar. They needed him to teach them how to stand up, even when the world tried to break them. Elijah wiped his face and stood tall. "Kids," he said, voice deep with new strength, "if we're going to do this, we do it right." Maya blinked. "Do what?" He looked at her with fierce conviction. "We start a movement." A hush fell. Even the wind seemed to pause. "For years," Elijah said, "this school punished the kids who needed the most love. Suspended you for crying. Expelled you for defending yourselves. Ignored your struggles. Silenced your voices." Students nodded, tears falling. He continued, "Louder now. We're not going to let them silence us anymore." The courtyard erupted with cheers. Phones came out. Students filmed, posted, shared. Bring back Daniels. #kindness is not Akrami. #students for Elijah. Within minutes, the hashtags trended nationwide. But then a new message flashed across Maya's phone. Her face turned white. "Elijah," she whispered, "your story just reached the school superintendent." The superintendent's black car arrived within the hour, sleek, intimidating, carrying the weight of the entire district. The crowd parted as a stern woman in a navy suit stepped out, her heels clicking sharply against the concrete. She scanned the students, the posters, the tears, the phones recording every second. Then she looked at Elijah. "You've caused quite a storm." He stared back, unflinching. Truth usually does. She raised an eyebrow. "Walk with me." They stepped aside, students watching anxiously. "Elijah," she said, "I've reviewed your record. 12 years. 0 complaints. 0 misconduct. Faculty love you. Parents love you." He nodded quietly. "So why?" she continued. "Was I told you were a risk?" Elijah sighed. "Because I bend rules to protect kids. I believe in compassion before punishment. I believe in grace before discipline. And some people don't like that." She studied him carefully. "You bought lunches for hungry kids. Yes? You stayed late every day. Yes. You protected bullied students. Yes. And you were fired for kindness." He didn't answer. He didn't need to. Then, for the first time, the superintendent's expression softened. "Do you know what your students are doing right now?" Elijah looked back. Hundreds of students holding posters, chanting his name, crying, believing. "Yes," he whispered. "They're fighting for me." She shook her head gently. "No, Mr. Daniels, they're fighting because of you. You didn't just teach kindness. You taught courage." His breath caught. Tears returned, this time different, lighter, warmer. Then she said the words he never expected. "I'm reopening your case. Effective immediately. You are suspended, not terminated." Gasps erupted behind them. "But," she added firmly, "I need to speak with the students. All of them." She stepped onto the courtyard steps, lifted a microphone, and said, "I want every single student who supports Elijah Daniels to raise your hand." Hundreds of hands shot up, then hundreds more. A sea of hands. Elijah covered his mouth, overwhelmed. The superintendent nodded slowly. "I have seen enough. Mr. Daniels." She turned to him. "Welcome back." The courtyard exploded with cheers, but something even bigger was coming next. The moment Elijah stepped back into the courtyard, students rushed toward him, hugging him, crying, chanting his name. For the first time, he didn't push the emotion away. He embraced it, fully, deeply. Maya approached last, tears streaming. "You're back?" she whispered. He knelt, meeting her eyes. "I'm back because of you." She shook her head. "No, you're back because you showed us what real strength is." The superintendent raised her hand. "We're not done," she announced. "This school must change. Today." Gasps spread. For the first time, Principal Aldridge looked nervous. The superintendent turned toward him sharply. "Effective immediately, you are relieved of your duties." Students burst into stunned silence. Aldridge sputtered, "What?" On what grounds? On the grounds, she replied coldly, that you punished compassion and rewarded cruelty. Security escorted him away. Students watched, some shocked, some satisfied, all changed. Then she turned to Elijah. And you, Mr. Daniels, we want you to lead the new student support program. Elijah blinked. What? You built a movement without trying, she said. Imagine what you can do with authority. Students cheered. Maya hugged him tightly. You deserve this, she whispered. Elijah looked around at the courtyard where a movement was born, the place where he had once cried alone, now filled with hope. He stepped onto the same stage Aldrich had used to humiliate him. With trembling emotion, he said, I was fired for being kind, but today proved something bigger. Kindness doesn't make you weak, it makes you unstoppable. A quiet stillness washed over the crowd, a moment where silence spoke louder than applause. A breeze drifted through the courtyard, carrying away the last pieces of fear, leaving only transformation. As the sun dipped low, Elijah looked at his students, his heart full. They had saved him. He had saved them, and together, they had changed everything. The final shot felt like a movie, Elijah standing in the center of the courtyard, students surrounding him like a galaxy of hope. The sunset glowing behind them, a single tear slid down his cheek, not of pain, but of victory. Moral, kindness may be quiet, but when people rise to protect it, it becomes the strongest force in the world.